In the summer of 2001, something strange was happening in a quiet American flight school, and almost no one realized how important it might be. A student had arrived with a simple request. He wanted to learn how to fly a large passenger jet, but there was something unusual about the way he asked. He wasn't interested in learning how to land. For the instructors, this was deeply unsettling. In aviation training, landing is one of the most important skills. Yet, this student seemed to care only about controlling the plane in the air. His name was Zacarias Moussaoui. The school quickly became suspicious. Why would someone spend thousands of dollars on advanced flight training but refuse to learn how to bring the aircraft safely back to the ground? Concerned instructors reported the behavior to authorities. Soon, agents from the Federal Bureau of Investigation began looking into the case. At first glance, the situation looked odd but unclear. But the more investigators examined Moussaoui's background, the more questions appeared. He had large amounts of cash. His travel history raised concerns. And his behavior during training didn't make sense for someone who simply wanted to become a pilot. Local FBI agents grew increasingly worried. They suspected that Moussaoui might be connected to a larger network, possibly even a terrorist group. The agents took action. Moussaoui was arrested in August 2001 for an immigration violation. But the agents wanted more than that. They wanted permission to search his laptop and personal belongings, hoping it might reveal what he was planning. Inside the FBI, urgent requests began moving through the system. Agents warned their superiors that something unusual might be unfolding. Some investigators feared that the suspicious flight training could be connected to a potential aviation-related attack, but proving it was difficult. Intelligence work often deals with fragments of information, pieces of a puzzle that don't yet form a clear picture. Legal barriers slowed the process. Approvals were needed. Evidence thresholds had to be met. And while the requests moved through layers of review, time quietly continued to pass. Across the United States, life went on as normal. Airports were busy. Airliners crossed the skies every hour. Millions of people boarded flights without a second thought. But inside a few FBI offices, the sense of unease remained. Something about the case didn't feel right. Then came the morning of the 11th of September, 2001. In just a few hours, hijacked passenger planes struck major targets in the United States. The attacks would become known as the September 11 attacks, one of the most devastating terrorist events in modern history. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives. The skyline of New York City changed forever. And as investigators searched for answers in the days that followed, earlier warnings began to resurface. Reports showed that some FBI agents had indeed raised concerns weeks before the attacks. The unusual behavior at the flight school had been documented. Requests to search Moussaoui's computer had been made. But at the time, the full picture was still hidden. Intelligence agencies often deal with scattered clues, signals that only make sense after the fact. In 2001, the pieces were there, but they had not yet been connected. Historians and investigators have spent years examining those early warnings. Some believe stronger action might have revealed more about the plot. Others argue that even with the clues available, the larger plan was still extremely difficult to uncover. What remains clear is that the story of those weeks reveals the complicated world of intelligence work, a world where small details can carry enormous weight. A single report from a flight instructor, a strange request from a student pilot, an uneasy feeling inside a field office. At the time, they seemed like isolated moments. But history often hides its turning points in ordinary places. And sometimes the difference between routine suspicion and world-changing tragedy is only understood when it's already too late. Because in the world of intelligence, the most dangerous warnings are often the ones no one fully understands until the moment the world changes forever.